In Poland, in Lower Silesia, in the middle of the various Project Riese sites, sits a rectangular building that have for years been speculated about extensively.
Okay, this is not what I expected to see.
Its origin may not really be in doubt, but since the war, speculations of SS witchcraft ceremonies and other occult occurrences have sprung up. Now, believing myself to be a somewhat level-headed kind of guy, I wanted to take a closer look at this, especially given its proximity to the Riese projects, and I wanted to explore the counter-argument of what seems to be somewhat more of a plausible explanation for this existence. The mysterious Totenburg Mausoleum was built in 1938 by Robert Tischler. Tischler was an architect who specialized in memorials and cemeteries. He worked for the Weimar Republic, the Third Reich, and after World War II. He continued to work for the government, building memorials all over the world to those fallen in the Second World War. Now, the mausoleum officially stands as a memorial to the 23 Silesian National Socialists who were killed in the 1920s and 30s in the movement's fight for power in Germany, but also for the thousands of Silesians who died in World War I, as well as Silesian miners who died. The structure is a quadratic fortalic with dimensions of 24 by 27 meters, and it's 6 meters high. The massive structure resembles ancient Mesopotamian buildings. Right in the middle of the courtyard there was a large metal torch designed by Ernst Geiger and produced by the German Württembergische Metallwarenfabrik, now under the name WMF, a workshop that still works today. Now, it might have been a gravesite, a real, symbolic one, but information about its use, real or planned, is scarce, and it is intersected by rumors and hearsay. There's also an underground corridor in the building that leads to what might have been a burial chamber. The arcades which surround the courtyard are covered in marble gold mosaic, or at least they were. We only know the full extent of how stunning this architectural actual was thanks to the pre-war photographs, and there was not many of those to be found. And none of them seems to have any Nazi-related symbols on them. It does appear unknown if there actually were any specifically dedicated to National Socialism. The mausoleum is located on a forest top, on a small hill, in a forest by the town of Waldenburg, surrounded by trees and nature. Now, the rumor has it that the Totenburg was not a mausoleum at all, but first and foremost it was some sort of temple to the SS. Now, we do know that Himmler was deeply interested in the esoteric, history, the occult, also ancient mysticism and secret rituals, and when Himmler traveled, he often visited ancient grave sites, including those found in Egypt. But it was also suggested that Totenburg was a shrine to the SS initiation ceremonies. After the war, it was claimed that during the final days of the war, the eternal flame that burned in the center was cut by a local worker in order to demoralize those SS men fighting nearby, and that even on the next day, 300 of them committed suicide. Now, I would be hard-pressed to find that even remotely plausible. Those desperately fighting the Russian juggernaut nearby, I doubt very much had the time to visit the mausoleum to ensure spiritual enlightenment and to make sure the flame was still burning, especially since they were faced by a somewhat rather larger and more immediate problem courtesy of the thousands of heavily armed and supplied Russian troops to their front. Certainly there were thousands of suicides both among soldiers, SS men, and civilians, all fearing Russian captivity towards the end of the war. And certainly the SS did have yearly torchlight parades and promotional ceremonies around the countries. Himmler was deeply interested in history and had borrowed interesting ceremonies, clothing, banners, traditions from all those he cared for in order to promote his vision of a greater Germany and the superiority of his SS men. That being said, this basically does seem to be a war memorial to those Silesians killed during World War I. So this is interesting. Shrine built in 1938. On one hand, to commemorate miners killed during World War I. It used to be very ornate, very decorated. Little entrance. And of course, all of this used to be Germany, so it's not strange that it will be here. So, how are we going to get in, Doc?
I don't know. We'll try to find on it.
How are we going to get under? I left the shovel in the car. There's a roof missing up there that's been covered up.
Secured. With car.
And people would come here and destroy things and take tiles. And that's why they sealed it off.
This access, we can go.
There's a hole, outstanding.
This is hole.
Fabulous. And so there was, on both sides there was pillars with an eagle, which the German eagle is not really surprising on a German monument. I just want to go ahead first, but okay, I won't.
Of the dragon. Why do I always wear my bag when I'm trying to get through tight holes? Wow. Wow.
I understand why Thomas wanted to restore this, especially to commemorate the war dead.
Look on the roof. Thermal secured by supreme plates.
The what?
People were stealing this.
So that's what they were stealing. Yeah. I mean, especially have the truck and can drive up here and just haul them out through the hole. But I understand what the misunderstanding is now. The whole controversy is what this was used for. If this was indeed a memorial for those Silesians killed during World War I, there's no reason why this should not be restored. I mean, and of course, if people think this is a pure and simple Nazi shrine, then they would be adverse to doing that. So this is not about why Thomas wants to restore this, it's about why it was here. This was not here for a Nazi cause, although it was built during a Nazi time. This was a World War I memorial. And I think if we look at it in that light, that's a whole different perspective. There's another hole in the wall over here. It's not overly big, but that's a World War I memorial. I get it. It could very well be one of those places that's been hijacked by history in the most vicious way. By taking one memorial built during a horrible time, misrepresenting it, turning it into a supposed place of Nazi witchcraft worship, which there doesn't seem to be any credible evidence of. So historians now arguing if this should be restored or not. But look at this. Look at what's left. Look how small, it's almost Roman-like. It would take a little work to restore this, granted. Especially the cracked cement, but it doesn't look like it's in any which way unsafe. Hole in the ground. And here's the underground. There's an underground here. And supposedly from the time of the Cold War, there was a much deeper underground and tunnel section here. Well, that's just interesting. It is similar to others, pretty much all others, of Tischler's war memorials around Germany, France, Italy, Egypt. And to understand his designs, we need to look at who he was. He was certainly a supporter of Hitler. However, so were millions of other Germans and Austrians at the time, so that's not strange. He served in France during World War I, and ever since he worked on German war memorials all over the world. He based his designs on two major principles, the mourning and universal life. His choices were influenced by German mythology's concept of communication between man and nature. The architecture of these cemeteries is austere, but leaves a lot of room for trees to watch over the eternal rest of the soldiers, a key point of something I found there. And it could never have been a cemetery in 1938 because, according to the Treaty of Versailles, the French would not hand over the bodies of the dead German soldiers who had died fighting in France. Thus, memorial was the only option. I mean, there must be more photos of this from when it was a thing. When this was in a good shape, there must be more photos. I mean, something. When looking at the very few original stones I found there, one with an important carving of a tree. He was a naturalist, and a German who had seen many friends killed during the Great War and was inspired by nature. So what's that thing? What is that thing? Is that an Odin? No. Who? I mean, you got two eyes, so it's not an Odin, so it's not a North symbol. Are there any runes? I never. It's new. That looked really, really real.
This is
Yes.
sight light. Visibility is better from sight light.
It looks like a tree.
Vertical is bad. Sight is better.
Now, I'm sorry, but if I'm seeing a tree like that, I'm thinking Yggdrasil, the North tree of life. So if there is a North mythology in this, which it probably was, because the Third Reich was quite big on North mythology. Although I'm pretty sure that most of the people who died from here during World War I probably wasn't. But let's not split hairs. So when it comes to the architecture, well, we have a little bit of Roman, we have a little bit of Norse. This is gorgeous. This archway is absolutely gorgeous. The fact that this was built during the time where the Nazis was in power in Germany seems less important, since Tischler continued his work on German war graves and memorials after the war in the same style, and we see these all over the world. With so many stones that are pulled out, destroyed, it's really a shame, because it would give a different clue to what was here, or could have been here, or was supposed to have been here. So the four corners looks identical. And the archway. I could see a statue having been placed in here. And another one has something that looks like cement repair work. Coming down to where we came in. I really wish I could see something, inscriptions. It's a very, very interesting structure. Another archway. Nice that they're all the sides are identical. And on this side, it appears there would have been something in the walls. There quite possibly was not a door there. The main entrance was down here. So like post-war brick up. And here's the underground. It's going to be interesting. So this is the downstairs. Ventilation. This room would be quite a bit taller than it is. And this looked like it was always here. So we're coming in here. Wow.
Walk around.
Probably walk the other way.
This is danger of you will fall down. It's very.
Yeah, there's a matter of water on the other side. I think this might be just as wet, probably, but. So there's a lot of stone down here.
Yes, stones from the floor.
From.
They.
Oh, that's what they do.
Some of them are broken here. It is heavy.
So there's the next room. Whoops. That stone moves. I told you it moved. So this is the foundation that has shifted a bit, I would imagine. Well, a little bit, yeah, there's rebar sticking down. Typical German construction of the time. And just a lot of crap that made its way in here. I always wonder, how does all that crap get into these tight, small places? Interesting. So, and why is there even an underground hallway here? I mean, this is pretty much a replica of what's upstairs, but Why? Why do you build an underground hallway under a mausoleum? People put a lot of fire. That's new, isn't it? All that stuff is new. This is new, isn't it?
Yeah, yes.
Well, the white stripe could have been there. You're literally just looking at hallways.
Drill machine.
Oh.
Electricity installation was installed here.
This feels new.
Maybe we're drilling and they secured the hole.
So there's talk of another underground level under this. Or am I wrong? Sewage? Drainage? From where? There's no bathroom in there. Or up there. Is that water-resistant tar paper? What do you think?
Pipe on the floor.
Okay. Okay, so there was a drainage from up there and probably out under somewhere. It's just strange because it doesn't look like a place that would flood or get that wet. There's more pieces of that drain pipe. And more pieces of the drain pipe. Those round boulders, small stones, I didn't see them upstairs. I mean, all this stuff, how did they even get it down here? Or did this come from down? I mean, I don't see anything like that up there.
Look nice.
But I mean, where did this pile come from? Did all this... That's, but on the roof, it would have to come through this little hole, all of these big stones. And that just seems like a lot of stuff to come through this little hole. But even from this, and there's more on that side, and we're standing on a hill, this can't all have come from up here. I mean, just look at how thin the walls are, these floors are, and how thick that is. This came from below. There's another underground to this. There must be. And it does smell like crap. So a lot of the tiles from upstairs are down here, I get that. It just, if you're going to steal the stones, why are they going to dump them down here?
The stone is moved from corridor.
That I'm okay with. But it just smells like shit in here.
That will move a little bit. That one will not. I mean, look at those three boulders. Where the hell do they come from? The three bottom ones. They're not floor. And these big ones. And that one's not floor.
To be silent.
We should have thought about that.
Not this start to a new movie.
You should have thought about that yesterday. You are now part of art. Oh, what the hell.
So I treat it as a rhetoric question.
Yeah, no. It's usually for you.
But what to tell when I have knowledge?
It's good we're wearing that special fast drying material. So that pile came from that hole that has since been blocked up. Okay, fine.
So sadly, the rumors, Nazi ceremonies, have overtaken this monument. One dedicated mainly to soldiers killed in a war that had nothing to do with National Socialists.
It's a heavy piece of metal. I mean, people were talking about there was an underground under this, right? Right. Yeah, with your signs. Silly nonsense. Not a whole lot of anything left.
This is clay.
That's clay. That was dug out from there. Okay, what the hell is this?
Underground system.
This is underneath the center courtyard.
Right.
Why? I mean, that... What the hell? Okay, this is not what I expected to see. And this is probably not what you expected to see. Is this just the foundation that somebody dug out in mad paranoia? Or was there actually okay. That's different. Okay, do you upside down on that one?
Same clay first. It was fulfilled by clay. Clay was removed here.
But this is floor. This is floor. This is not because somebody dug here. This is a tunnel.
The lantern was powered by gas, and this was a tunnel for a gas installation.
Okay, so this is where the gas was to pull for the eternal flame upstairs.
The lantern in the middle of the
Alright, well at least that makes sense.
Check the equipment. Yep. Okay.
Here you go. Stretching, not just for kids. Alright, so there's the graceful way. The graceful way. Doors, there's a hinge left of a heavy door here. And then there's a window up there. This red brickwork doesn't really fit into the original construction. As I'm standing here, I have not really investigated this place. Because quite frankly, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to come by and see it. But I knew it was here, and it obviously doesn't have anything to do with any of the research I'm doing here. But it has become a controversial place, which I'm finding a little bit of a shame.
Yet even today, this site is being used for amateur occultists, and just in 2016, a teenager was stabbed here by a friend at a prank that went wrong. And I have yet to see any credible evidence of anything occult, or that the SS directed any ceremonies here. If anybody have any such evidence, I would very much like to see the proof, trying to determine exactly what happened here. It's also not particularly strange that the Russians tried to blow it up after the war. They blew up the two other similar mausoleums and generally destroyed a vast number of historical buildings that had little to do with any World War II events. So personally, for now, I have to call this one as what I see, as a mausoleum to fallen soldiers, and it probably should be restored and preserved as such.
I find it hard to see why they would, if they were going to put a Nazi shrine somewhere, or a temple or something. Himmler had Wilhelmsburg, of course you had Nuremberg. You had places other than Lower Silesia for that. I guess we could get back to try to find out who paid for it. Here's that. Because you're right, this rock actually has...
Oh, you have the switch, okay.
Yeah, open these up, open the barn. The barn doors, as we call them. We should get some paper and some pencil and just...
We do that. Brush, we need a brush.
But yeah, there's definitely an inscription.
You see? This is a question.
There you go.
Why we have here thermal insulation on the roof? This is thermal insulation.
You think that's original?
Original, German made. With cement. Wood with cement, and they formed plates, and they were using this for thermal insulation. The same you can find in Osówka. Same plates.
I mean, the same building techniques were used.
Good brush. Made of cement.
Probably asbestos, but what the hell?
No,
It's clean. I have pressured air in the car, I have water in the cow.
It's clean now.
Damn hard to read though.
Which angle is good angle?
Use mine. Give me a side light from that because you can turn it up more. You can turn it up more.
More?
Yeah, you can turn it up.
Yes. All right.
See?
Oh. Now maybe letters will be visible.
Lift it up a little bit. Back away a little bit. Yeah.
Angle, different angles. Maybe one point of light will be ideal.
Well, we can take the footage, we can mix it, we can layer it, and then...
This is still destroyed, scratched.
It doesn't, yeah, it doesn't...
This is limestone.
It doesn't help that somebody scratched it and it's on the ground. But yeah, 9, 8, 6, 9, 0, 6, 1. 19.
Yes.
This can't be a 6 if this is World War I was.
Or looks like 0.
That's kind of strange. Yeah, because there's definitely a row of letters.
It's very destroyed.
So instead of arguing about why to restore it or not, maybe they should have a conversation with documentation about why it was here. If this is just for memorial for those Silesian dead during World War I, there's no reason not to restore that. And even if it was built to commemorate 25 NSDAP leaders as well, or people as well, people are dead. Make it a memorial for World War I. Remember them. Remember miners. Remember those who died. I could get on board with why not restoring it if it's done for the right reasons. I hope you enjoy history and military history as much as I love bringing it to you. And if you want to see more of the photos and documents I've used for these episodes, documentation and so on, you can go to lostbattlefields.com. And if you feel like helping me out traveling around the world to some of these far-flung locations like Van Allen Brown's first test stand behind me, or Deepness nuclear reactor down there, or the Maginot Line over there, you can donate on PayPal, protection@serviceint.com. It'll be right here, and it is also on lostbattlefields.com. You absolutely don't have to, but I appreciate any help, and I love all you guys for all the support you've shown me, because history is important. We all know that, and I'm going to bring it to you.